Hey, thanks for spending some time with us. We've got a new time guest here, first-time guest here. It's her first time to be here. And she is Commander MarlinePeydue from the West Precinct. Is that right?
That's
did I
right.
say that right?
You did. You did.
Glad to have you here, Commander.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Star looks good on you.
Well, thank you.
When did you decide to be a cop?
When I was 21, 20, I was going to college for law enforcement. I was taking criminal justice. And I honestly can't even tell you why I decided to take criminal justice. I was always interested in doing something service-oriented, fire department or EMT, paramedic, something like that, and I just ended up really liking the criminal justice part.
You like helping people then?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Yeah.
Everybody I've told that you're coming over here tells me you're a great talker. Is that good? Is that right?
Well, I think they could be exaggerating some.
It's good to have you here, and I want to talk about the West Precinct, and I want to talk about, but I address inner city population. We've got a bunch of young people that's got problems, and they have difficult circumstances around them, but they're good kids. And I want to do everything I can to help these children. You was in what I used to call youth guidance.
Mm-hmm. Youth services.
Youth services. It went from youth guidance to youth services.
Right.
There was a time in Nashville I could really get things done in youth guidance if I got into a situation where, back when it was youth guidance, way on back end, but before you was ever born, you could, if you had a child that you suspected was being abused, it was much easier then to get an investigation than it is now. But when you tell me that you was interested in being a fireman or something and then you was in youth services, that fits to me. Where'd you grow up?
Grew up in Chicago, outside of Chicago in Lombard, Illinois, and outside of St. Paul in Inver Grove Heights, Minnesota.
Grew up in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
When did you move to Tennessee?
When I turned 19 and my dad had retired and he moved to Murfreesboro. We had family in Murfreesboro, and they wanted to come south where it was warmer and where you actually had 4 seasons. Yeah, they loved it down here. They'd come down to visit, and they fell in love with Murfreesboro. And so I've been down here since.
Did you graduate from high school in Minnesota?
I did. Mm-hmm.
You ice skate?
I did when I was young. Haven't done it in a long time, but yeah.
I understand teenagers up there hang out in the wintertime at a skating pond or a rink or somewhere like that.
Go to the skating rink. That's where you go. Go to the skating rink.
I was out in Oklahoma. I used to ride motorcycles a long time ago when I was younger, and we'd get out in Oklahoma. We'd ride to the west, out to the Grand Canyon, because it's much easier riding out there than it is back here. It's too much traffic here. And you get out in Oklahoma, teenagers all dating at a rodeo. It's the beatest thing I've ever seen.
Right.
A girl pulls in, got a pickup truck and a horse in the back, and she takes her trailer and unhooks it and meets her boyfriend, and off they go to the rodeo. And I thought, man, that's just a different part of the world here than where I grew up. Welcome to Middle Tennessee. Why did you get on Metro Police?
I actually I worked for Berry Hill for about a year and a half, and Goodlettsville. And I liked working. I loved working for the police department, but I just wanted more. I wanted more excitement and more opportunities, and Nashville was just bigger, and they happened at the time that I was really thinking about moving. They had the first lateral class that Metro had, and I was part of it. It's an abbreviated class where you don't have to go the full, I think it's 22 weeks now, you don't go the full session, and I think we went 10 weeks. And it was everybody in my class had been police officers before. So it was neat. They kind of didn't tell us the truth. They said there wouldn't be as much running and it wouldn't be as difficult. And the first day we were running to the gate, so they weren't really straight up with us.
Did you enjoy the academy?
It was really different for me because having already been a police officer and everybody in there being a police officer, we all knew, the running to the gate and the PT and everything. It was really a game. So it became more of a game for a lot of us that were in the academy, I think, than it was, it wasn't so serious. We would get, sometimes I know one of my friends that's still here went to the academy. We worked in Goodlettsville together, and she's a sergeant in youth services now. And we would get put in the push-up position and get tickled. And because it was just funny. I mean, it just wasn't as serious. So it was a little different coming through the lateral class probably than the regular class.
I went through MP school, and I found out it was real tough. And I found out they were analyzing me to see whether they wanted me to be an MP or not. They discouraged me the first day. This is something I've tried to teach my people about leadership. When I got there, I walked in to report to the commander, the company commander, and the first question he asked me, do you want to be a military policeman? And the boy standing in front of me, the troop standing in front of me, he said, no. He said, step to the left. And he asked me, and I said, yes, because I didn't know what was to the left. And I said, yeah, you'll be fine with me. I said, yes, sir. He said, step to the right. And I don't know how many people went to the left that day. And they made it very clear, if you do not want to be a military policeman, we do not want you. And they put us in school and started training us. And they'd do all these mind games with us to see if you had the makeup to have enough patience to be a police officer or MP. And they didn't make it. They were gone. And so it was a screening process. So when you handle it with humor, you was probably handling it right. That's probably what they were looking for.
Yeah.
What do you like best about police work?
For me, I really like the interaction, and of course, as you know, as you go up in the ranks, it becomes different because your interaction, you don't get to interact quite as much with the public and do the little things. You know, used to in patrol, you have the opportunity to really interact with the families and do that. For me now, at this point, I really like having the opportunity to deal with the supervisors that are younger and they really want to do good and to try to help them to do better, and it helps me do better. And I like dealing with the public. I do like the interaction, and if there's problems that we can solve and trying to do those kind of things. I like working with the other departments. We have a real close relationship at West with Metro Social Services. I actually have somebody assigned out there a couple days a week, and that's to help build those relationships at West. We know we have a lot of elderly population out there and a lot of families that are in need, and it's a great opportunity to immediately hook them up. And those are the kind of things that I really like.
Is the West Precinct's the right word, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Precinct,
Is the West Precinct as diversified as, say, the South Precinct would be of cultures?
No, I don't think so. We don't have a big Hispanic population like they do in Antioch and in South and even Madison. I don't think we're quite as diverse with the cultures as some of the other precincts are.
When you come on being a lady, how has it been managing men? I have to ask you this question because that just fascinates me. That's because I'm chauvinist, you know. How has that been? Has that been more difficult than you would think it'd be, or the police officer's a caliber of person where you got the top of the line? How's that work? That you can say on television.
It was really,
in nice terms.
No, it was. I had a really good experience. You know, I can't speak for everybody. I came on in 1988, would come into Metro, come into a big department.
Who was the chief then?
Chief Casey.
Casey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So when I came on, you know, went to the midnight shift.
That's where everybody starts, isn't it?
No, yeah, it's a good place, midnight or evenings. And I worked pretty much with all guys. I don't remember, well, the girl that I graduated with from the academy, Sergeant Suzanne Stevens, she actually was assigned to the same shift. She went to Madison at that time. At that time, East had more of the whole north part of the county. But I was in this area. I was in the lower 10, what was the 10s back then. It was Dickerson Road and Gallatin Road and all that over to the river. And you know, you just think the difference is you had to just accept, you know, they weren't immediately going to say, oh, you're my best friend, and you just had to be yourself. And I think that the women that did that probably were really successful. I mean, for me, I don't ever remember having issues that I felt like, oh, they're doing this to me because I'm a female. It was more, they're doing this to me because that's my personality. So, and I loved, I worked for a sergeant that was an older sergeant. He's been retired for some time, and he was wonderful. And initially, and we tell this story, it's so funny because I knew he was following me because I was very active and would make a lot of traffic stops and stuff, and I know what he was doing. But after, you know, 6 months, I've been out on my own for a while, it was good. So it is a little different, and you just have to accept it. When you come into an environment that, for me, this was just how I dealt with it. Coming into an environment that was all male, you just had to go with it. And to try, you couldn't change them. You didn't have to change yourself, but you just had to find a way to kind of just fit in. And for me, it worked.
It worked out very well if you made commander.
I mean, it's been good.
You What would you say to some of my young girls that live in the inner city that would like to be a police officer?
It's a fantastic opportunity. It's a great job. You know, I hear a lot of women that talk about, oh, I don't have the upper body strength, I don't have the strength. Upper body strength is an issue. It's a little different now than it was. They need to be doing push-ups because that's part of the testing process now. They really need to be doing that. But from my perspective, even in having from back then in patrol, when you actually, I think you probably got into a lot of scrapes that you don't have to as much now because you have so many more tools available to you now. You have the taser and things like that. Upper body strength is this much, but being able to talk to somebody is this much. You know, you can talk somebody out of fighting. You can, and women, and some men have the same skills, but women seem to have, they develop those skills really fast, it seems like, because they're just able to get, you know, you have a guy that's going to fight the guys, but you go over and you just kind of talk to him a little bit different, and it just seems to work. So I think it's a good balance.
My experience has been working in inner city ministry. This was hard for me because I came out of Saigon, and I was used to stepping up and giving orders. Well, I step on a bus load of inner city teenagers, and I start giving orders, and they just blowed me off. And my wife would stand up and say, "Okay, guys, come on." And yes, Miss Sandra, what do you want to do? They were raised in a single home. They hadn't had a father in their life. They didn't want a man telling them what to do because they resented him. They didn't like him to start with. And I wasn't going to tell them what, they just knew right off the bat I wasn't going to tell them anything. So, and it was so hard on my ego. Boy, it was tough on me. I'd have to turn around to Sandra and say, "Baby, if you tell them to get quiet, I got something I want to tell them." And she'd get up and quiet them, and they'd all say, "Yes, Miss Sandra." They'd sit right there, and I start talking to them. They'd get a little riled, and they'd accuse me of getting red because I start getting red when I get mad. And she could calm them down. And they would just listen to her and follow her anywhere. They'd do anything she told them to do. And but they wouldn't take that male authority. And I would guess that police officers, even today, you have a great edge, being a female, to talk to the males anyway.
I think it's a balance. I mean, I do think that, you know, it's some has to do with personality, and some guys are really good at it, but, you know, police officers are police officers. And it's kind of hard to be out of that. You got to be the one that's in authority and the one in charge. And so I do think sometimes it's a benefit to be a female. So, you know, a lot of times you can talk somebody out of fighting. And so I would say to the young people that are interested, male or female, it's a great job.
The kids that I talk to, then they start talking to me about, and we've had police officers come and talk to our teenagers on a career day type thing, and, you know, and I've had some say, you know, I'm really thinking about becoming a police officer, and they all say, because I want to help people. I think that's a natural trait that we have, particularly here in the South. I want to help people, and a police officer is a good field to get into. Now, you're the commander of the West Precinct, and that's an honor to be in that position. It is, and it's also a credit to our police department to have you in it, because I've gotten, when I told people I had you coming in, invited you, and you were coming, they tell me the good things about you. You have a lot of people that respect you.
That's nice to hear.
What's special about the West Precinct? You got your new building.
I have a brand new building, a beautiful new building.
If I get somebody to invite me to come see it, I'd like to come see it sometime.
I will even buy you a cup of coffee while you're there. I will. Yeah, come see it.
Anderson will let you buy me a cup. No, I couldn't buy you a cup of coffee. You could buy me. That's right.
I can give you a cup.
Yeah. And I want to come and see your facility out there.
It is really nice. Metro did a really good job with the building. I wasn't involved in the front end, but more in the back end. And it just, going from being in the Old West, which actually I worked out of the Old West 20-some years ago.
Now, where was Old West?
It's when you, if you go out I-40 and get off on the second Charlotte exit, it's right there where
46
Nashville
in
West
Charlotte?
is. No, the second Charlotte Pike exit.
Okay.
It's that way out.
Oh, okay.
And it's right off, you turn left. And
is that where the new one is?
The new one is at White Bridge Road.
White Bridge Road, okay.
It's 5500 Charlotte.
And so you're excited about that precinct?
It is. The guys, the investigators and the sergeants and lieutenants have an office space where they can actually work without having somebody overhearing what they're saying. And one of the things that was really bad at West is, you know, investigators, they do a lot of phone work. Well, sometimes to talk to people, to get a statement or just to get information, they have to go outside because it's just so much going on and so much noise and so many cramped together. that it was difficult. So
It was long
it's
overdue,
really
wasn't it?
nice, yeah.
Yes. What I had a question I was going to ask you about that. In the precinct, how many people you have in your command out there?
182.
182 officers in. How many officers in Davidson County? Do you know?
It's, I want to say it's right at 1350.
I was thinking
somewhere
13
right in
something.
there.
Mhm.
Told you, numbers is not my strong
Well,
point.
that's all right. That's
but
all right.
somewhere
I told you I
up in
wasn't going
there.
to ask you any
I know
numbers,
you
but
did.
it just rattled out. That's right. That's right. I'm trying to trap her up, Mike. That's what I'm doing. If you are, and how many did you say you got in West?
About 182.
You have a community affairs officer.
Mm-hmm.
Do they do that in all the precincts?
They do. Each precinct has they're a community coordinator.
Community coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
That's an important position in it.
It is. It is. It's you know, it's a really great opportunity for the police department to have somebody that can reach out to the community to try to bring groups together. And then it gives the community somebody that they can go to if they have little problems, you know, traffic problems, or they're having problems with neighbors that they don't really want to call the police and make a report, but they want help. So it's a great position to have.
I think it's so good because I think the community is the police department. I'm real big on this thing that y'all are using now, and Anderson's a big fan of it. I know Michael Alexander has been on here several times, and it says all over and over and over and over, we want to have a relationship with the community so that the community can talk to us, and that way we can get the information we need to protect the community.
Okay.
This whole thing of don't snitch, no snitch, that just sets me off. That's why would you keep a criminal in your community that's going to be hurting your children? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. Drop a dime on him, get him out of the community, make your place safe.
Right. Helps your quality of life. I mean,
That's right.
the quicker we can arrest them, the less potential for them to break into your house or your friends or neighbors or family members'
And you
house.
do that with information.
Mm-hmm.
And you need
do.
information from people to help you with that. What would you like to do, and if you had a wish list in West Nashville, what would it be?
Oh, gosh.
More cops?
Well, yeah, we'd always like to have more police officers out there. I don't know. I hadn't really thought about a wish list.
That's all right.
I'm really trying to learn
You're too
what I'm
thankful
doing.
for what you got.
I
haven't
am.
you?
It's been a learning experience. You know, I hadn't been in patrol for quite a while and have been more in investigative elements. So coming back in and learning patrol all over again has been it's a learning experience.
Investigation. That you have to have a lot of patience to work in investigation, don't you?
You do.
A little bit nosy.
You have to be nosy. You have to be patient. For me, and I was never an investigator, but got to be in a position to be a lieutenant with a really good sergeant working for me where I could learn. And you have to have a lot of follow through. That's the big thing. You can't just leave stuff hanging as an investigator. You got to follow through on everything.
What if a parent is out here and they've got a child? Let's go this way. We got a mother that's got a daughter. She's got a live-in boyfriend. She's not 100% sure he's doing something to her daughter, but she's suspicious, really suspicious. What would you recommend to her to do? The mother.
The mother's boyfriend is doing something to the juvenile's
Suspicious
daughter.
of the.
I would do a referral to the Department of Children's Services and ask them to get involved. I told you I'd worked in youth services. We didn't work the sex crimes part. We worked in youth services, the child abuse part. But you have to get the Department of Children's Services involved. And that's where I would start. And if I had a boyfriend in my house that I thought was doing something with my daughter, they would be out of the house. So that would probably be the first thing that I would do.
That's right. And if you're suspicious, go on and move him out of the house.
Yeah, and have some dialogue with the daughter, or find somebody. You know, one of the things that I find is a lot of times where maybe the parent-daughter doesn't have a good relationship, that daughter probably has a relationship with somebody else in the family or a friend that they may be able to get information from.
The thing that just really sets me off, and it breaks my heart, and we find this way too often, as teenage girls being abused sexually by boyfriends, and with mother's permission. Mother just looks the other way because she wants the drug money or she wants the rent money, and I know he ain't giving her no money. He just promising her he's going to give her money because he's just there to live off her. in her check. And that really, I wish that we could do more to get parents to protect their children, because I feel strongly that every night, every child needs to lay down and go to bed knowing they're in a safe place.
Agree.
And I think that if anything we can do in the community, and I think it's where churches need to get involved. Get out of the church building, get out in the community, and get involved in people's lives, and be a contact for the police department. Get the information, give it to police, and let them do something about it. This old no snitch, no involvement, not loving your neighbors yourself, that doesn't get anywhere.
I agree.
We got to be out there doing something for it. What is in the future for you now? How long you been on the force? You going to be chief? You going to unseat Anderson?
No, no.
You turned red when I said that. Was I not supposed to ask you that?
No, really, that really isn't, being the chief of police probably isn't something that I am really interested in, especially at this time. No, I've got 23 years. I'm going into my 24th year. You know, right now I'm just trying to figure out what I'm doing, where I'm at. I'm pretty happy with that.
How does this work in Nashville? You got these different precincts, and I had people critical when Surpass came and they went to they went to the system under Surpass in the different precincts. I heard criticism of it because they wanted it all in one location downtown, small town thinking. If one of your officers is starting to chase, starts a chase at White Bridge Road and winds up on Lafayette, do they stay with him all the way to Lafayette? They don't drop off with him when they cross precinct lines. It's not like crossing counties.
Right.
If you're crossing out of the county, do you stay with them?
Well, it would depend on what are they chasing him for. But yeah, I mean, they would stay with him. They wouldn't just drop him because he's going out of the county. So
they'd stay in pursuit of him. Mm-hmm. Do they just pursue, is their will, or do they have to call in and get permission to pursue?
They have to get permission. Pursuits are really, really monitored, and it's based on, you know, what are you chasing them for? What is the danger to the public? Is there more benefit to chase the person than there is possibility of harm? It's really carefully monitored, and one of the things that they put in the policy that to me I think is really important, you know, officers they're thinking about, oh, I'm going to chase, and it's really hard to say, okay, I'm going to stop. And that's why, like, if a sergeant's involved in a pursuit, he can't call the pursuit. Another supervisor has to call the pursuit because it takes that tunnel vision away. So, I mean, our department is pretty strict on its pursuit policy. Just they want to make sure one of the supervisors will call it.
How many supervisors you got on a shift? In the West Precinct?
Generally working, there's more on days, but on evenings and midnights, anywhere 3 to 4, sometimes 2.
Most pursuits are done in the evening, aren't they?
There's quite a few in the day.
Really?
Yeah, it's really kind of surprising, at least
theft.
out west. Just different things, you know, people that are just not going to stop. But I was kind of surprised because I really thought there would be more on the midnight shift, but what I see at West anyway, I've actually seen more pursuits on the day shift than I have the other 2 shifts.
That can be real dangerous, but I can see where they get focused in. I'm going to catch him.
Yeah.
So he has to radio another officer that tells him to go pursue.
If an officer starts, then he has to ask the sergeant for permission to continue. The sergeant has to say, yes, you have permission to continue. He has to constantly update him on the road conditions, traffic conditions, things like that. So, I mean, it's a constant, they're constantly reviewing where they are on the pursuit. And, you know, they may they may think that he's wanted for one thing, but by the time the tag is run, they realize, you know, maybe it's not the person they're looking for, so they may call it off, or they may get the helicopter up and the helicopter is able to take it over. So, I mean, they have to constantly be evaluating everything that's going on.
And that's all monitored. So this is when I got out of the military and I was in love and I wanted to get married and I didn't want to be away from home. And they put on my discharge papers, recommended to go to police work, you know, in the police. And I had a friend who was with the TBI and he wanted me to go into police work. And I thought, you know, Rufus Slay, one of y'all's former officers, said in a statement that an officer has to make a split-second decision that the courts have months to deliberate. And that one statement, when Rufus said that, I said, I think I'll be a mechanic. Because if I mess it up, we can tow it in. But the police officers are under so much stress.
They are. They are.
Do you have counselors on board to help with the stress of the police officers?
We have a section that's called PASS. It's Police Advocacy Support, and we can use them anytime if we have a critical incident. If you got an officer that maybe they're using a lot of sick time and you're concerned about maybe something's going on, that we can send them for that. They can go voluntarily. And that's been, as long as I've been here, there's been that group has been here and available to the officers. I don't have but 2 minutes to go, and I appreciate you coming in. Is an officer taboo if he goes to that and asks for help? No. Years and years ago, there may have been that it may not have been as accepted, but I think especially today, people understand that sometimes you do need that outlet. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say anything negative about going.
I would think each officer needs a review every so often just to talk to him, just see where they're at. We're proud you're on the police department.
Well, thank you for having me.
I want to come out to West Nashville. Now, I was nice to you, wasn't I?
Very,
I didn't ask you
well, you did hit me with some of the numbers, but that's okay.
We got about 45 seconds. Anything you want to say?
Law Enforcement Talent Showcase.
Ooh, I was going to talk about that. We didn't bring it up. We ain't got time.
That. We don't.
No, we run out of time. You're a singer.
September 25th. Be looking for it. Be watching for it.
You are a singer.
Part-time, a little bit here and there.
Man, I wish I'd brought that up. Okay, folks, I want to thank you for coming over, Commander.
We'll
get you cut back,
okay.
and we'll talk about this when it gets close. When's it going to be?
September 25th.
Oh, before September, we'll get you back on, and we'll promote that. And it's going to be at BB King's?
BB King's.
And the money goes to charity?
It does. Nashville Children's Alliance.
Nashville Children's Alliance. That's great. Commander, we'll get you to sing next time you come on.
Don't know about that.
Folks, thanks for tuning in. It's good always to have our police officers, especially our commanders here, to share with us about our community, because they are our community. Thanks for tuning in. God bless.
Troublesome times are here, feeling men's hearts with fear. Freedom we all hold dear, now is at stake. Humble your heart to God, safe from the chastening rod. Seek the way pilgrims trod, Christians away. My Jesus is coming soon, morning or night or noon. Many will meet their doom. Trumpets will sound, and all of the dead shall rise. Righteous me in the skies. I'm going where no one dies, heavenward bound. Well, troubles will soon be your happy forevermore. When we meet on that shore, free from all care, rising up in the skies, sailing this world.